So tell me a little bit more about your journey of meditation, Dan. Where did it all start?
So I was one of those people who would be the last person you would think to get into meditation. Genuinely one of the last people who you think would get into meditation. But I had a real need to do something because I didn't sleep for 6 years, which sounds really dramatic, but genuinely 6 years of near insomnia, disrupted sleep, which after 6 years it takes a big toll on your ability to function, to think, to do. You know, you're working and you're living and you're sociable and all those things, but underlying is this kind of fatigue that begins to affect your thinking and your actions and everything that you do. And I didn't really treat the problem at the time. I was like, I'm still quite high performing in terms of what I'm doing with my work and things, so it's not really an issue. And then 2 friends of mine independently suggested that I try meditation. And that was the first time that I'd ever considered meditation. I'd been to a yoga class about 4 years before, just once, and never went back. And that was my only experience of that kind of world, I guess.
Were they meditators, these 2 mates?
They were casual meditators.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd say yes. Yeah, they were into meditation. They were into, or they understood what meditation offered to them, and they saw some value in it. So therefore they knew that it would potentially offer some value to me. And there were 2 people that I cared what they thought. You know, they were really good friends to me. And with them both saying that, I thought, I'm going to look into meditation and see what it's all about. I did not have a clue what meditation, not a clue what meditation was. I thought, monks, orange robes,
bald heads.
I say bald heads, we're sat here with no hair in our heads, but that's the image that you have, rice bowls and strictness and routine and monasteries and silence, long periods of sitting, all those things that I guess people think about when they think of meditation and they're not really familiar with that kind of world. So I just started to Google and go on YouTube, meditation, what is meditation? And I was really hesitant to get fully involved in it. And I came across a podcast with a meditation teacher called Muji. Muji is quite a prominent meditation teacher in the world. He lives in Portugal now, I think. And Muji was born in Jamaica, and he had a market stall, I believe, in Brixton Market, selling incense. And he had this kind of cool story, and then he was in India a large portion of his life and was teaching meditation. And that was the hook that got me interested in meditation, because my passion is reggae. I DJ reggae, I collect reggae vinyl for years and years and years and years. My big hobby, my big passion in life, reggae music. And here was a guy from Jamaica who was a meditation teacher. And I thought, well, this is my entry point, because there's something here that I connect with. There's something here that I identify with, that I like, that I'm familiar with. And that was the barrier broken down for me. So I listened to Muji meditations on YouTube and used to lie there on the living room floor with my eyes closed, not knowing what I'm doing other than listening to someone talk in this. That came much later. So listening to this guy, his voice is really deep and it's really slow, and you kind of get immersed in this meditation that he's delivering. I now know that he was talking about Advaita Vedanta, which is a school of philosophy from India. But at the time, it was just a really gentle meditation, asking questions and thinking about myself in a way that I'd not really thought about myself before. And I found it relaxing, but not really helping with my sleep problem. But I'd had a little entry point into meditation. So then I started to look into other types of meditation and realized that there's so many different types of meditation out there. And if I do something, I research the hell out of it. The hell out of it. Yeah. If I buy a new stereo or turntable, I will research for months, buy a new amp. If I, buy a car, anything, I just research, forums, looking at building the biggest picture that I possibly can so that I can make what I believe to be the most informed decision.
Yeah.
And I did the same with meditation. So I looked and I came across transcendental meditation. And this interested me because they had a lot of celebrity endorsements and it seemed like it was a worldwide organization, which gave it a little bit of credence and some justification. And I did a taster session online with my local transcendental meditation teacher. It was interesting, but I didn't quite get the vibe that it was for me. But I knew that I was getting closer to something that I thought might be the solution for what I wanted. And then I booked a meditation course in London, which is Vedic meditation, which is the branch of meditation that my first teachers teach. And it's very similar to transcendental meditation in terms of its silent mantra meditation, 20 minutes, eyes closed technique. And I booked a weekend course in London, booked a hotel. I checked out their videos and podcasts and interviews and did everything that I could to understand what my teachers were like and what they were teaching, and I liked it. And I just headed down to London for a weekend course, not knowing what was going to happen. And that weekend changed my life. That weekend changed my life in a way that I'm probably yet to fully feel or describe, because I didn't really know what to expect. And having a little entry point into meditation via listening to some meditations on YouTube, just sitting in a hall, and my teacher walked in and he sat down at the front of the group and he began talking, and there's a bit of apprehension and some nerves before you go in to learn something like that, because you don't really quite know what to expect. And he began talking about what to expect over the weekend, and it was very gentle, but I got the feeling that something was ready to shift, something was about to happen. I got this feeling. And before we'd even meditated, I had this like a sensation in my stomach that I'd never ever felt before. It was so strange. And I was sat there watching him. He was right in front of me, and it was just like burning up in the most beautiful way. And I just had this wave of, this rush of excitement. And as I sat there, I said to myself, this is what you're going to do. I'd not even begun to meditate properly yet, but I said to myself, this is what you are going to do. Sit there and do that. I knew that second, in that moment, I was going to be a meditation teacher. Having never even heard about meditation or knew what it was until a couple of months before, I knew in that moment I was going to be a meditation teacher. A fire was lit inside me that day, 6 years ago, and it burns brighter today than it's ever burnt before. It's still there. I still feel it. And it's not going away. And that set me on this journey that I'm on. I learned to meditate that weekend. After the first day, I went back to my hotel room. I was so excited by what I'd learned, this new technique, this meditation technique of sitting with yourself with your eyes closed, no YouTube or anything, and meditating. And I slept for 7 hours in my hotel room peacefully for the first time in 6 years. And I have done ever since. Never ever have I had an issue with my sleep.
It's amazing that the effect can be that quick.
Incredible. And I'm really careful to temper people's expectations when they come and talk to me, because I don't want to overpromise what meditation can deliver for people. But in my experience, incredible. 2 profound moments that weekend. One was the sleep, one was that feeling of this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
And what was the time difference from first hearing about meditation to having that great night's sleep?
Well, from learning the technique, it was about 12 hours.
Wow.
About 12 hours, maybe less.
You spoke about different types of meditation on your journey and they weren't quite right for you. What was it about this meditation type that you instantly resonated with?
There was a simplicity to it that I really resonated with. I think we all want to go through life knowing that we're doing something correctly. With this meditation technique, there's not that many moving parts to it. there's not a lot of activity that you need to do. You don't need to engage with the process. And there were some big things for me that made it something that I felt like I could do for a long time. My reason for not sleeping for so many years impacted me to the point where I needed a solution. Now, not sleeping wasn't the problem. The problem was what was making me not be able to sleep. It was like backtracking and finding the solution by finding what the problem was further back. And I was overthinking a lot, ruminating. My mind was turning on. I'd put my head on the pillow at night and, I just couldn't get to sleep. Racing thoughts that I just could not control. There was this stress, agitation, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, in the body and in the mind. With this meditation, I was taught on the very first day that thoughts are part of the process. Meditation is not about emptying your mind of thoughts. And I thought, what? It is. That's the whole point, to empty your mind of thoughts, to be completely silent. No.
Yeah.
That is not what meditation is.
You think the monks are silent, don't you?
Exactly.
When they're meditating.
Exactly. And that was one thing that my teacher said on the weekend. He said, if you think monks are sat there completely empty of thoughts for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, they're thinking, I need to do this tomorrow, I need to make this for dinner, I need to pick this person up. They're just thinking the same things as you.
Yeah.
And that realization that meditation can be simple. You don't need to stop your thoughts. You don't need to try and do anything. You don't need to engage in anything. You don't need to put effort in, because effort is creating friction. And the less effort we put in, the more chance we have of allowing the mind and body to rest. And if you're looking to de-stress your body, de-stress your mind, then rest is what you need. And I needed rest. So therefore, I needed something that was effortless.
I think there's a point here where we need to talk more about impact, because you spoke about the method and you initially talked about sleep. But what wider impact have you seen from this meditation method?
Better sleep was the foundation.
I heard you mention stress.
Yeah, lower stress levels, less anxious. Definitely less anxious, less ruminative, less overthinking. The benefits for me were bigger in terms of the way that I behaved, by virtue of the fact that I improved the way that I thought. So I became more reliable because my lifestyle choices improved, because I wasn't making decisions based on old habit patterns. I wasn't making decisions based out of fear or worry or what other people thought I should do. And it was a long process. This process was maybe a couple of years, 3 years before I really started seeing those kind of benefits play out. But they're by far the biggest benefits. More subtle. Once you start becoming reliable, you become dependable, and then you start to become happy with the way that you're operating in the world. And once you start to become happy with the way that you're operating in the world, you tend to turn that dial up. I'm enjoying this way that I'm behaving. I'm enjoying the way that I'm feeling. I have less chaos in my life because I'm making better decisions. And that was huge. And then obviously I started to, slow down on the drinking and the going out late at night and the partying.
Make different life choices.
Different lifestyle choices. I wasn't putting any crap inside my body. I was exercising better. And that all has a big, big knock-on effect. And that was a snowball for me. All of those things accumulating in, more focus, more clarity, more confidence in myself to make the right decision. You tend to change your relationship with yourself first, and then that plays out in the real world.
I think it's a classic, you give someone what they initially want at the time, whatever pain they're in, whether that's for you it was no sleep, lack of sleep. But meditation then turns into what you need in life.
Yes.
How you turn up day to day.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're living.
How you show up day to day is massively impacted by the state of your body first and the state of your mind second. I'm a firm believer in that. With not sleeping, or anyone that has anxiety or stress or overwhelm or anything where they feel clouded or dulled, they're losing their focus, losing their energy. Those problems are physical within the body. And if the problem is physical, the solution has to be physical too. So we can't mood make or think our way out of problems when they're physical problems within us, whether it's a chemical imbalance or too much cortisol, or, you're kind of your heart rate's too high, you're pushing the red zone of your fight or flight system too much. So it has to be something physical that you do first before you can then get any level of mental clarity. Otherwise, the physical symptoms are still there. So that plays out in your day-to-day. So once you start going through your day-to-day, you notice it yourself that you're making a little shift in the right direction, and other people notice it too. And that's a big thing. Work colleagues, friends, family, they tend to say, you're looking good.
I want to go further into who you are as a coach and this method that you're teaching specifically, because there's loads of different types of meditation. You've already spoken about a few. I'm assuming you teach this meditation type that you've been talking about.
Yes.
So talk to me more about it.
Yeah, I fell in love with it on the first day of the course, as I mentioned, and I practiced every day since. I meditate for about an hour every day, minimum. Minimum an hour in 2 sittings. I knew on that day that I first learned to meditate, I was going to teach. I didn't know how that was going to look, how I was going to learn, where I was going to learn, what it even looked like, if it was possible, but I knew that I was going to do it. So that sent me on a journey of about 4 years of learning, of courses, of reading, of connecting with teachers, of advanced techniques, all these things that people do to acquire more knowledge and more experience so that they can get a rounded view of, I understand what I'm talking about because I'm living it. I've had the struggles in meditation, so I know what new meditators go through. I've had the successes in meditation, so I know how to temper them or manage them or not get carried away. I've had the times in meditation where I've been bored of a practice because I've been meditating for quite a long time. And all of this experience and knowledge culminated in me learning to teach the same, self-transcending meditation technique that I learned at the course. And my signature course that I teach in my business is the deep dive method. Deep dive because in meditation, with the self-transcending method, you have the ability to dive beyond your thoughts entirely, beyond your experience. And that's the transcendental element that meditation allows you to have. So rather than engaging in mental thoughts or bodily sensations, we have a technique where we can dive beyond all of those. And the body and mind goes into a state that's completely mute, completely natural. And it gets there through effortlessness. That really intrigued me. So that's the foundation of the deep dive method. The sequence of deep dive method is breath work first to settle the body, to settle the nervous system, because it's really difficult sometimes if there's any sort of agitation or excitement, that going into meditation from that state can feel a little bit bumpy at the beginning because there's lots of stress in the body that the meditation's trying to shift before we can find any level of balance. So some really nice gentle pranayama breathing before we begin. There's a couple of techniques that I teach depending on how agitated people feel, but breath work is always designed to allow the body to go into a meditative state. Thousands of years, breath work, then meditation. It's beautiful, and it works with the body and the nervous system. So breath work, then meditation, and then to come out of meditation nice and slowly is the end of the sequence. We do a practice of mindful gratitude where we just have present moment awareness of gratitude that we feel. And it's not forced, it's not any kind of toxic positivity. It's just noticing how are we feeling at the end of this meditation, and we're looking for something that we feel grateful for many different reasons that have a wonderfully positive effect on the body and mind. But the principle of the deep dive method is that arc of breathwork, meditation and mindful gratitude. It's a wonderful way to experience meditation because you're settling your system first and then reintegrating your system at the end of meditation.
I'm intrigued to know how your clients have responded to it. So have they come in for different reasons other than sleep? How have they found the deep dive method? How have they felt afterwards?
It's hugely positive. It's hugely positive because what the course does that I teach, it removes all those barriers instantly. Those barriers being the reasons why people have maybe tried and failed with meditation before or not attempted meditation because of the perceived barriers of I can't sit still, I can't clear my mind, I can't concentrate for long periods, I don't have the time to meditate. All these reasons that we give ourselves for not wanting to meditate. And all of those are removed because the practice is very simple, very natural, and the aim is to be as effortless as possible. And then once people hear those barriers are not there and they sit, very quickly they can get on board with the practice. The response is normally initially, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
We're not trying to do anything. There's no activating words here. It's deactivating. If you're feeling frustration in your practice, try a little bit less. Put less effort in and see the results.
Counterintuitive.
Really
to what we know,
counterintuitive.
isn't it? Yeah.
Because we're told from young ages that, try.
Yeah,
You know, the more you, the will to succeed, and all these, the more you put in, the more you get out.
Yeah.
Meditation works in completely the opposite way. And that's a really big realization for people because it takes a lot of pressure off. It takes a lot of frustration out of a practice that they might feel before they begin is going to bring them some level of frustration or pressure. So removing that for people is so important. And once that barrier is removed, they can get on board with it. And when someone gets on board with the practice and they can see the simplicity of it, even if they might struggle with the simplicity of it at first, simple doesn't mean easy.
Yeah.
By no means is that the case. There can still be an element of frustration if people are trying too hard. So it's about reframing this idea about our attitude towards meditation that then gives people a little bit of ease. But very quickly, the results and the feedback I get from people is hugely positive. And like you say, they come into meditation for many, many different reasons. A lot of it is to do with overactive minds, stress, overwhelm, wanting to find some clarity and more focus. Some people come to me to meditate and they don't have any of those. They just want to be better performers, or they just want, even more clarity, even more focus.
Yeah.
Wonderful, you'll get it. You will get it because you're starting from a place where you already feel that you've got a good platform to go and do some great things. And people quickly realize that the ceiling they thought they had, or the limitations they thought they had on their ability to think and perform, is smashed to pieces. And they realize that I'm improving here. I'm operating in a way that's healthy, and with that comes a level of clarity and happiness I think that many people are probably lacking before they begin, because everybody's searching for something. And whether you want to come to meditation to solve one thing, you will get every other benefit along with it. And that's the beauty of it, I think. If sleep was the only benefit that you got from meditation, better sleep, I would still meditate every single day for an hour.
Yeah.
If that was the one thing I got, 100%. The fact that I get all these other benefits with it, that's just an amazing bonus.
What's the time commitment here?
A day, one sitting would be about 20 minutes.
Okay.
The preference is 20 minutes twice a day. That's when the real physical results start to happen. Because if we think about meditation being a release valve for stress and a chance for the body to purify and rest and repair itself to all that stress and tension that we're holding, meditating in the morning is when most people really like to meditate because it slots nicely into a routine and it's a nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes in the morning, wonderful. 20 minutes again in the afternoon to release even more stress and make ourselves more present and available for what we've got in the evening and be energized for those activities is a game changer, because many people start to limp towards the end of the day after a busy day at work or a busy weekend. They're tired, they're fatigued, they're accumulating micro stresses throughout the day. We can dump those stresses out of the body and we can feel energized and present for whatever we want to do in the evenings.
Yeah.
So people find it really impactful on their day-to-day, and that's what they want to see. They want to see results, not necessarily spiritual results and not necessarily, kind of the philosophical results that come. They want to, am I going to feel better? Am I going to have more energy? Am I going to be calmer in situations where I might kind of react rather than respond in a way that I think is suitable, and look back and go, man, I shouldn't have behaved like that. I shouldn't have said that because my system's on red alert. So can I be calmer, more clarity?
I think we should go into what are the biggest blockers.
The biggest blockers for people to get into meditation are I think it can seem quite daunting for a lot of people.
It's that first step.
That first step. In the same way that I was almost discounting it when I first started, I've been there, like many meditation teachers have. I've been there. I had those misconceptions. I had those doubts. I had those worries, those ideas of what meditation is or isn't. And of course, if that's only the only thing that you know, then you're pretty convinced that you're right a lot of the time. So understanding what meditation is, understanding that there's different types of meditation is a big blocker. If I try a meditation technique and it doesn't quite work for me, if I think that is meditation, full stop, I'm never going to try meditation again. And there are so many different styles of meditation. There's so many different styles that work for different people, that you have to enjoy it, your practice. Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it every single day. There has to be an element of value or enjoyment to it. So stigma is another one.
So once someone's taken the first step, stigma, they can't get into it. What would you say once they're in? What's their most common problem then?
Consistency.
Yeah, I thought
Consistency is one of the big things.
Yeah.
Many people learn to meditate. Some people learn to meditate with AI.
Yeah.
Or a blog post or a YouTube video. And you might think that you're meditating for a while and think this is quite relaxing and I'm sitting in a position with my eyes closed and it's quite nice. Give it a couple of weeks and most people, it just tails off in the same way that gym membership tails off for a lot of people, or a new eating habit. Every Sunday I'm going to batch cook my lunches for the week ahead. You do it for a few weeks and it tails off. And then you go and buy your meal deals and you take the easy option. It's just how we're conditioned to behave. So consistency is a big problem, I think, for people, which is where teachers come in. You need to find a teacher who offers post-course support, who offers some form of community. You need to find a teacher who says to you, I will support you after you've learnt to meditate with me, and this is what that support will look like. Yeah. Because that gives the person confidence that, okay, I'm not putting all my pressure on myself to learn everything there is to learn about meditation in one course. If it's a weekend or over the course of evenings for a few weeks, whatever it looks like, I've got some support here, and this teacher values me as a meditator. I can tell that they value me as a meditator because they have all this support that they offer, someone who's just done the course, and the feedback they're getting. A lot of them mention post-course support, feedback, accountability. There's group meditations, there's touch points, there's connections, there's events. It's huge to have that support after you learn.
Like you say, I think knowledge is now increasingly becoming everywhere, right? I know how to, get a six-pack. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I've got one, right?
Yeah.
And you can apply it to anything.
Yeah.
Knowledge is everywhere. Implementation is the key from that knowledge. So whether that's acceptance of where you are, whether it's personalization, whether it's accountability, I'd say that's where a coach comes in.
Yeah,
personally,
I think so. Yeah, it's you always have questions to ask as a new meditator. I had loads of questions that I wanted to ask my teacher. I would have loved to have had a direct hotline to his mobile number. Unfortunately, he teaches thousands of people to meditate, and there was no chance that was going to happen. So one of, I guess, my advantages as a smaller meditation teacher is that I can offer people that time. I can offer people that time, that one-to-one support, that care. Because when you learn to meditate, the first few weeks and months are absolutely crucial. If you get on board with it,
it becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit. It really, really does. And it's one thing, hearing knowledge. I've read about all the benefits that meditation can give me. I've heard people talk about all the benefits that meditation can give you. Unless you feel it for yourself, it doesn't mean anything. It's just words. Once people feel a benefit or feel some value in their life showing up tangibly, that's their motivation then. And you need to help people through that process and stay connected beyond, because before meditating and being a meditation teacher, I was working in personal development and coaching and mentoring, and working with people for long periods was what I really loved, rather than transactional one-off meetings. So to follow people's journey and share that journey with them, knowing what's ahead for them if they find some level of consistency with my support, is the whole reason why I left my career in order to be a meditation teacher. Giving up a career, selling my house, selling all my possessions.
Big moves.
Big moves. Huge, huge right turn in life. I'm going to get rid of everything that I own because I don't need it. What I need is to fulfill my duties, my service, my purpose by following that burning desire that was lit inside me on that morning of that first course, and sharing this gift with people. And it sounds really grandiose, and 15 years ago, if I'd been listening to this conversation 15 years ago, I'd be like, who's that guy talking? But it's so true. It is so true. Get rid of everything and then just do what you are here to do. And that is to share a gift, share meditation, and grow with people, share life with people. At 100%, that's what it's for. Everything that I do now is for the people who come to me and say, I want to learn to meditate. That's my whole life.
So talk to me, if someone resonates with you, your system, you as a coach, they come into your world, how do you help them? What does that look like? What support out there is there?
I offer multiple entry points into meditation because I recognise that the barriers can be quite off-putting for a lot of people. So if people want to come to a free online meditation experience, to experience the light version of my deep dive method.
Beginners, meditators?
Beginners, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no experience required. They can go onto my website and they can book a free taster session. Awesome. If someone's in the local area, I do free events. I do pay-as-you-feel events where you can come and meet me, have a bit of a breathwork and meditation experience. Many people come through those classes and then end up taking a course because there's a level of trust that's built. There's a level of familiarity that's earned and gained. If people want to engage with me on social media, you can just message me. You don't have to give me any money. I'm not asking for any money.
Even help.
On my events, a lot of the time, I don't ask for any money. I've always got access points for people who are struggling financially. I'll never, ever, ever turn anybody away from a course or event if they really have a desire to learn to meditate. I'll never, ever turn anybody away. So multiple access points. If you're here as a beginner and you're here to explore meditation, you can explore meditation. If you're ready to learn, you can learn meditation. And then if you're ready to go deeper with your practice and look into retreats and advanced techniques and deeper knowledge and philosophical sessions, know a little bit
about meditation,
then I've got you covered as well. So whichever stage you're at, you can get involved in.
What about anything online?
Online.
Got your socials, obviously. Anything
socials, more? Instagram is where I'm probably most active, at Daniel Keneally Meditation. My website, genzenmeditation.com, there's got a link to my courses. It's got a link to my retreats in the UK.
Got digital courses as well?
In Europe, digital courses, in-person courses, retreats. There'll be an online retreat early next year as well, which I'm excited about launching. And lots of information about my technique, the benefits, the science. I have a free newsletter as well where I give information for free.
Awesome.
And I give signposts to people, to other teachers, to books that I love, podcasts, episodes that I think are really interesting, all around meditation, yoga, breath work, and making a better world one individual at a time.
That's awesome, man. It's been great interviewing you.
Thanks, man.